Sorry again, everybody. More technical problems. Keep it rolling, I hope.
The context in which she said it. So one of the stories of my mother, of the millions of stories, right, is that I was getting dressed to go out somewhere. And it was a dressy occasion. At the time when this event happened, women's skirt lengths were kind of at the knee, kind of the pencil skirt at the knee. And I had a V-neck top on. I looked very nice. It was not trashy. It was classy. I thought I looked very nice. That evening I got compliments. Not that it matters, but I thought I looked appropriate for the event. When I was leaving the house, my mother said to me, "Oh, you look racy." And that was like, those were her little digs she would make to undermine my confidence. So I'm going to go out and have a good time. As I'm walking out the door, you're telling me I look racy. So let's just plant that seed of doubt in me, make me feel that I'm not right in some way, that something is just existentially wrong with me. Don't even need to go too much about that, but you know how that is. They try to cut you off at the knees when they can see that you're feeling good and you look nice and you're going out with friends. So I told this woman the story. I told Kitty the story. And in the telling of that story is when she said, "Well, you don't need to worry about wearing a V-neck because your boobs are small anyway." So here we go. Red flag went up. You're criticizing me. You're criticizing something about my body, which is a real trigger for me because my mother has done that to me my entire life. Constantly comparing me to other family members, to people she knows, to my father, and on and on. So that body insecurity comes up again. And I let it go. And it's that same kind of, it's that mind fog that comes up again. And you think about it a day later and you go, why didn't I say something? I should have said something. But it went by me. Part of it is like, that could be a good thing when you don't say.
No, because you're just so used to hearing it. Your mind is conditioned to take it. And it isn't until you get in the car or after, like, why did I just take that? Like, did that just really just happen? And I let that go?
Something, or you don't think of saying something at the moment because then it doesn't feed into their getting a charge out of it. But it doesn't stop them either. I think sometimes.
Look, it doesn't matter when you recognize the red flag as long as you recognize it and react to it. You already broke contact with her once, so breaking contact with her a second time shouldn't be that. Say, you know what, I was wrong. You're always reminded why you went no contact if you go back. It doesn't take very long for the narcissist to remind you why you broke contact with them in the first place.
Sometimes it fuels their fire more. They call that great rock technique. I was playing gray rock technique when I didn't know what it was because I would go into that freeze mode, as my defense mechanism was to freeze up, fight, flight, fawn, or freeze. I was a freezer. And so I would freeze up and I couldn't say anything. And truth be told, sometimes.
Right. Don't worry about freezing up in the moment. Look, once you recognize the red flag, you don't necessarily have to, because we know we are susceptible when we're going back and forth with these people to get sucked in and not recognize anything. That's just the reality that we have to deal with. Once they're gone, that's when the red flag gets raised. Once that red flag is up, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that you didn't confront her right there and then. The goal is to get these people out of your life. As tempting as it is to shove it back in their face and to try to prove them who and what they are and what they're doing, that's not the goal. The goal is to just have them out of your life. And one of the few problems with no contact is you tend to forget why you went no contact with them to begin with, especially the covert narcissists. More so with the covert because they're covert. Because they give you those subtle little digs, like you got your boobs are always small, like your mother did. Things you don't just pick up on right away. Things that knock down your self-esteem and you don't even realize it. So once they're out of your face and you're in the car, it doesn't matter. That's when you see the red flag. No reason to get all like, oh my God, why didn't I see it? And confront. Fuck that. Who cares? You had a lunch with her. You never got to see her again now. You still don't have to pick up the phone. You haven't really lost anything other than you've gained. You've gained by her reminding you, holy shit, she's just like my mother. That's why I broke contact with her. And I didn't even have my finger on it completely then, and I was able to go no contact with her. It should be easier to go no contact now after breaking contact, even though in theory, in reality, it seems like, oh my God, I just came back. Now I'm going to go no contact again. Everybody's going to think I'm crazy. Who gives a shit? Who gives a shit? Doesn't matter when you see the red flag, as long as you see it and react to it the right way when you do. Stop worrying about what I should have said, what I could have said. Why didn't I see it then? You didn't see it then. We know why we don't see it when it's happening. That's what no contact is about. But you see the red flag. It's like, oh, shit, the red flag was there the whole time. That's why I went no contact. Well, thank you for making that clear. Have a nice life.
It's best not to say anything and just walk away. But I was doing gray rock without knowing it. But the impact of these things being said to me was still there. You know, it's still trauma-inducing, or it's hurtful or rude. I mean, even just rude. I'm beyond even getting hurt by any of this stuff anymore. I'm just finding how rude, how ignorant of you. So,
right. Because we get to a point once we're no contact, we get to the point with the narcissist, once we understand what narcissism is, and we can recognize the tactics, either when it's happening or afterwards. Okay? We're not so much as hurt by them, we're angry at this point. Why? Why put yourself through all that? So, well, that's why I went back, because, you know, I was abused by narcissists. But there's the red flag. Move another one to the junk pile. And that's perfectly fine, Grace. It's not a matter of look at how many people I threw out of my life. It's going to be a lot. It's always going to be a lot of people we have to get rid of. It's never one narcissist. That's not how narcissism works. There's no lone wolf narcissism. Otherwise, it wouldn't be narcissism. They'd just be fucking assholes and nobody would want to talk to.
There's that. So she makes this comment. And you'll hear about that in the conversation. And all on top of this, it's like, all right, then this history about her and buying the weed and me and paying the money back, that's kind of there in the background. And she had called me yesterday. I hadn't heard from her for a couple of days, and she called me, and I thought, all right, I'll answer the phone. This is all on my mind. I'm going to answer the phone, and eventually we'll get around to me bringing this stuff up. I'm going to be strong. I'm going to be grown up. I'm going to not be confrontational, but I do want to put this out in the open, and then I'll make my decision as to what do I want to do with this relationship once again. So I think, too, that life brings you lessons back again to see how you're going to respond, you know, so kind of like a little test. Am I growing? Am I changing? Am I really committed to myself rather than being committed to making everyone else around me feel good, which is what that codependency is all about, you know, to my detriment. Not going to do that anymore. So she called and was talking about this and that. This was a different phone call, not the one I'm sending you. And then suddenly, and when she called, I was cooking my son's dinner. So I'm trying to hang on to the phone, not put it on speakerphone because it always sounds so awful. and trying to cook with one hand and move things around, and he's walking in the door, and I struggled through and managed. And so I'm trying to be polite, damn it, right? There I go again, trying to be polite. So anyway, all of a sudden, she says, "Oh, that's Margie on the phone." So apparently she got a call forwarding came through, or another call came through, and no problem, we'll just cut Grace off. "Oh, gotta go, that's Margie, I'll call you back." And she hung up. And I was kind of stunned. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, they'll always drop you. You're a friend of convenience, Grace. Most of us are. That's what we find out with our narcissistic friends, that they were never our friends. Most of them only want to hang out when they got nothing else to do. And they will drop you for a better deal every time. And it's sad at your age. I mean, this is what teenagers do to each other, Grace. And this is happening to you in your later years. I'm not calling you old or anything, but you know what I mean. You've been around the block a few times. You're not supposed to be dealing with friends like that. Who just, oh, gotta go. Because you're an afterthought. That's why she was able to take the money from you so easily. See, she knew how to she knew to come look for you when she needed weed. Right? She needed something. That's the only time people like that want us around, is when they want something from us.
And here's the thing, is it came across like this was an emergency, like Margie, her hair was on fire, she dropped the phone and run. But that's not the case, which I found out later. That's not the case at all. So to me, and it's like, all right, am I trying to be like this controlling little dictator? You don't get to, cut off the phone. You don't get to cut the call short. But I don't feel like that's the case at all. It feels more like, and as I say in the call to her, I did call her back, and that's the call you're going to get. It's more like, you get to put me second, third, fourth, or fifth on the list. It's okay to just cut me off mid-sentence to deal with another person. And I'm not jealous of her friend. I've never really even met her friend except briefly.
It's not about you, it's like what I just explained to you, Grace. She has a ranking system of importance, I guess, of who can do what. So this person who called through, obviously she feels can do more for her. She likes them better. Maybe they're cooler. And at your age, at our age range, I would say that's a pretty fucking sad way to live your life. But that's exactly what she's doing. She's living like a social butterfly type of teenager. There's a ranking system, and you ain't at the top of it, Grace. None of us ever are. That's why we're victims of narcissists.
For 30 seconds when she popped by to deliver her some groceries, because this woman, like I say, is on an air tank and can't get out much.
Oh, she delivered her groceries. Like I just said. She must be doing something for our next line. There it is. Grace, she sees everybody as commodities. She probably doesn't really have a real friend in her life.
So I'm not feeling like I was being hypersensitive that you cut me off and I'm too important. But how many times I've been on the phone with one person, you see another call is coming through, you know it's not an emergency. It's not like you have a small child out in the world somewhere that somebody's taking care of and you got to make sure it's okay. No, it's just a choice, And you could even say, hey, my other line is ringing and it's Margie, so, but this was very abrupt. It was, and apparently that's the way she deals, and you'll hear her talk about that in the phone call. To me, I don't like that. Maybe it's just a matter of preferences, but you see how I'm looping around and around and around, questioning my instincts, questioning what my ethics are, questioning how I feel I want to be treated or how I should treat people. this mental loop goes round and around and around. And it got so bad that last night I could hardly sleep. And what it came down to was feeling guilty about having my preferences, feeling guilty about how I want to be treated. So it was at a very, very subtle level. I could just feel my entire body was kind of pulsating and shaking as I thought about it. I could feel my throat was kind of closing up.
Why are you putting yourself through all this? Someone you've already gone no contact with once, and you're putting yourself through turmoil from someone who's waving a giant red flag in your face. Don't be hurt. That's what they do. That's what they do. That's what you got to expect. You got to expect all the behaviors. Once you see the red flag, now you're losing sleep over it. Where you should just be saying, I made the right decision the first time. Thank you for verifying it. Thank you. You should be sleeping like a baby. Because your instincts were right the whole time. And all she did was help prove it. It's not your fault. You gave her another chance. I get it. I get it. But you learned. You saw it immediately. Move on. Don't torture yourself over it.
And this is basically a harmless situation. I'm not in harm's way here or anything like that. But how to handle these kinds of situations and read in between the lines to see, am I being bullshitted here? Is this the way that I want my relationships to be? Do what? They say that we teach people how to treat us. I don't want to be treated that way. I don't want to be cut off mid-sentence. And I'll call you back. And apparently she did try to call me back, but I was so triggered by it all that I had turned my phone off. I thought, I'm just going to do the task at hand, get his dinner on, and he's a minor child, so I cooked dinner for him. There were dishes to do. It was already getting later into the evening, 8 o'clock at night, 8:30 at night. I wanted things to be done so that I could go to bed because I get up early to get my son off to school. That's a priority for me, to be there for him, because no one was there for me. Nobody got me out of bed in the morning or gave me breakfast before I went to school. I was on my own. So she does say some things that in this phone conversation that on the surface seem to be sensitive and caring. And yet, if I look at it with different eyes, I'm questioning it. And at one point she said, well, I take so little to heart. And I'm thinking to myself, maybe that's not the way to be in the world. I don't know. I'm taking less and less of what's going on around me on a personal level. I'm finally able to see that, this person treats everyone that way, so it's not just about me. But I really want to make some of these changes in my life, and I want it to stick. So I'm not willing to overlook things. I am willing to put my feet to the fire and stick with it until I have it resolved within myself. And I am willing to overcome my fear of speaking up for myself. So on one level, this might look like picky-uni stuff, but on another level, it's a big deal for me, and I think it's a big deal for a lot of people who have been abused in the way we've been abused.
It is. But what many people don't realize, and I think you're having some trouble with this, is speaking up and fighting back. That's what no contact is. You're not going to argue your way out of this, Grace. They're not going to see it your way because they don't want to. It's not how narcissism works. The more you argue, the more guilt they're going to throw at you. The more opportunity to change tactic you're giving them. The more this went wrong and that went wrong and you should go along because of this and that and this and that. Like, why are you putting yourself through it? She was already upset when you broke off contact with her to begin with. Your no contact does all the talking for you. That's why we do it. You have to remember what no contact is. It's not only let me get away from you, it's telling us how we fight back. We win by not playing their game. Walking away and never talking to them again and cutting them out is the best way for you to stand up. That is standing up for yourself. For once, I don't want you. I'm just taking control of my life by keeping you out of it. I'm not even interested in trying to get you to see it my way because I already know you see it my way. It's a futile effort. And all you're doing is literally losing sleep, tossing and turning and upsetting yourself about it, worrying about how do I fight back? How do I stand up for myself? You already did that, Grace. You walked the fuck out. Do it again. They lose their power when we walk out, and that's what we want. Ultimately, that's the goal. We all want to be heard. We all want to get through to them and break them, and it's not going to happen. It's not. And all you're going to do by trying to do it is continue to lose more sleep. When going no contact is standing up for yourself.
So, with that said, I'm just kind of looking over my notes here to make sure I didn't leave anything out that's going to make it difficult to understand what the phone call is about, but I think I covered it all. So if you have any questions, ask away. But meantime, I'm going to send this to you with a donation. You really have helped me. You know, you're kind of like putting on 20/20 glasses for me because you see through to it and what's going on. The one phone call I sent you about my mother in the Trust Your Gut video, you know, the sing-songy voice and the things you could hear, I kept referring back to that to say, is any of that going on here? And I'm sensing there's some of it. So anyway, I'm going to turn this over for your clarity. Thank you so much. And once again, thank you for all you do. Thank you for being there for people, for the triage treatment to stop the bleeding and get us moving on our way. And much love, respect, and best wishes for you and your wife. Talk to you soon, Ollie. Bye-bye.
Okay, let's get to the shit. Did this crash again? No, it's still recording. All right. Total freeze up. Again, I apologize, everyone. See, the problem is all my equipment is on a network. So what they were doing is they were using the DVRs to do DDoS attacks, denial of service attacks. And what that means, you can't get into your own internet. But because I live in a building and there's like a main grid, they can't necessarily keep me off the internet. But what they've done is they've slowed my upload speeds to such an extent. It's everybody in the complex that you can't upload. I don't have enough. I have it now, obviously, but it apparently caused some hard drive problems, I guess. And that's what the Comcast guy told me. He's like, a lot of people were experiencing hard drive problems on their networked equipment. So luckily we had upgrades at Verizon. So, you know, the phones are fine. This is still... There it goes. All right, here we go.
Hello, it's me. Yeah, did you get my email or something?
Voicemail.
Oh,
Why did you send
what
it?
happened?
I don't know. I was getting Angelo's dinner ready.
Okay, Grace. Soon as she starts, it's like, oh, God, it sounded just like Virginia. Just like Virginia. Jesus. She's already starting with the gaslighting.
Came in from his workout session. And when we were talking, I was cooking for him.
Oh.
And then you talked to Margie.
Over dramatic. Very similar to the Sing song. It's the same thing. People just use different inflections on their voice. So she's already starting off putting you in a mental power position. Like, oh, you're calm. Like already, like she's already, by saying that, already telling you you're like, you've already fucked up. And now you're calling for forgiveness, I guess.
Yeah.
And
I called you back 3 times.
Yeah, I got busy here cooking and doing the dishes.
Did you turn your phone off? Or
I had the volume turned down, so I didn't even hear it ring.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know if something happened to your phone or what.
No.
Okay. Again, now she needs every detail of why you didn't pick up, why you didn't answer. This is fucking Virginia. Oh, she wants to make sure. She's doing a pre-interrogation of you, is what it is. They're setup questions. It's what we use. Okay? And we put a mental note down, and then we come back to it at a later point. We throw it into something else and see if it matches up. And you're like, that's what she's doing here. She's setting up a pre-interrogation, almost.
No.
You know, you lost it again.
Well, I don't know. I got a question though. I got a question.
Mm-hmm.
Remember when I was out on that last Saturday?
Yeah.
And this is a question because you're not the first person who said this to me. I've had 2 or 3 people. I'm just trying to investigate my feelings here, so I'm getting into some radical honesty. But you made a comment about my boobs being small. Do you remember that?
I don't know. You said something about, I don't know, worried about.
She remembers. The silence and now the stammering. She absolutely remembers. And you just surprised her because she wasn't expecting it. She wasn't expecting to be called on anything. She thought you were coming in to apologize. That's why she seems so afraid. Seems so, not afraid, but surprised and put back. She wasn't expecting to have to defend herself here. And she knows exactly what you're talking about. Exactly what you're talking about.
Your outfit? Yes, I did say your boobs were small. Okay.
Yeah, I just had, because you're not the first person who said that to me. And it's always come from women. So? There's been 3 or 4 women. I always wonder.
So? You mean so? Now you hear the aggressive. So? Awfully defensive when you say, I just wanted to talk to you about it. She don't know what you're talking about yet. Maybe you had a small boob question that she could have. I don't know. But she already knows where it's going to go.
What would impel somebody to say something about somebody's body like that? As if I would view that as a weakness or something. I don't get that. So that's why I'm asking you. What was the reason why I said it? I mean, because I could point out.
Yeah, we were talking about something, and
but
I said, well, you didn't have to worry about it because your boobs are small.
Yeah, but what?
I don't recall.
Yeah, I know. So even the context of it could or could not define whether or not it's something you would say to somebody, so it's just kind of sticking with me, and I was going to bring this
up. Did I hurt your feelings or something?
Well, my feelings really can't be hurt by it because it's really not about me, because I didn't even say it, But I've had a couple other women say that to me, and it's like, well, obviously, for you to tell me that, that's some observation of yours, because if I was concerned about having small boobs, I've got more than enough money and go get big ones. And I don't look at anybody else and say, well, you got a big nose, or you got huge ass, or you got, to me, it's like.
It wasn't a put down. It's just,
well, how would.
That's what your body is.
Yeah, but.
I don't find that being small boobs being a bad.
See, here's the thing. And this is what they'll do. Then they'll say, oh, I wasn't really insulting you or anything. Then why did you bring it up? See, this is the problem, Grace. When you do try to confront them, they'll try to act like, I wasn't being mean. I was just making a comment. What are you making a big deal about it? This is why no contact is you standing up for yourself. Because you only walk in to allow yourself to be gaslighted here.
Well, quite frankly, I wish mine were a lot smaller than they are.
Well, I don't either, but it's a very, how do I want to say this? When you say something about somebody's body, which none of us are in control of our bodies as far as what we got, it is a cutting kind of a thing to say. I don't know if that's quite the right word for it, but it sent up a red flag for me, and it was one of those things that at the time I should have said something right there, and I didn't, because these kinds of things go by me. And so it puts me on notice now that I look, and it's something I look back on it even driving home from your place and through the weekend. I thought, well, I don't want to make a big deal of it, but it's like it's there, and so I can't I'm not at a place in my life where I'm going to sweep stuff under the rug anymore. I've done that my entire life. I'm not willing to do it, but it puts up a red flag. I mean, you don't talk about people's body parts. You just don't. It's not polite. It's rude. It can be mean if I were going to have hurt feelings. The only thing I get from it is what's going on with Kitty and her view of me, that she would say that to me. And for me to
absolutely nothing.
Well, for me to be even convinced that it was nothing, then why was it said? See, because I can't.
And I don't remember the context.
Well, whatever the context is, unless I come to you and say I'm upset about my breath, that's not a topic of conversation. Anybody's body part, I mean, think about it. Anybody's body part shouldn't be a topic of conversation unless that person brings it up. Now, if someone comes to me and says, I'm 20 pounds overweight, can you help me with that? Then, we can talk about what you would do. Or I'm trying to exercise my thighs, well, then we're going to talk about your thighs. But I wasn't talking about my boobs, and I don't, and to say, well, your boobs are small, it sends up, and it seems like a silly, stupid example now, but I don't want to minimize how I'm feeling about this. It sets up a red flag for me.
Well, it might have been something you were wearing.
Yeah, but even...
Well, why are you commenting on it?
To think about, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, it just, I
older women, I imagine, in their later 50s, early 60s, commenting on each other's boo. Like, that's what young girls do. Like, you're out to lunch and you're having a tit conversation? Really?
I don't think
I wouldn't hurt you for the world.
Well, it's...
But it sounds like I did.
Well, and I've heard that too. I wouldn't hurt you for the world. I've had people say things to me and then turn around and tell me that, and it's like, then why do you say that? It's not a concern of mine, obviously. I've lived with these all my life, and they're just fine.
Well, yeah, and I've lived with mine, and it's fine. It wouldn't matter to me if anybody said something about my belly or my boobs or my anything.
It might bother you if they did. I know I never.
That's just it wouldn't.
And then, then,
it is what it is.
Yeah, but having it be come up in conversation where it's like, I don't know, there's something there about a boundary, and it's not feeling right. I don't quite.
Look, Grace, The problem here is, and the problem you're trying to drag something out of a narcissist you're never going to get. She's never going to admit to you that it was a passive aggressive comment or what her actual fucking problem is. She's not going to come right out and say it. Okay? To me, this is not standing up to her. Standing up to her would have been just cutting her off and say, I don't need you in my life. And I'm not interested in anything you have to say. I know what you were doing. It doesn't really matter why. You know what? The why, and again, it's the whys that drive us crazy. It's the whys that keep you up at night. Why did they do it? Why are they doing this to me? Why did it have to be me? Why? You're not going to get the answer to the why. The why is they're just fucking toxic. They're just toxic. And the only way they can survive is to spread their toxicity onto everyone else. You talking to her, you're only exposing yourself to more toxicity. Because you're thinking you're standing up for yourself. And in reality, I think, calling her here and dealing with her is the easier choice than no contact. Because I know what your fear is with no contact is like, she's just going to call me crazy and look another one, another person Grace has to throw out. It's all Grace. And that's not it, Grace. We can't care what they think. We can't care what they say when we're no contact. Because as long as we stay no contact, we're standing up for ourselves. Words. You're talking about words. I'm talking about action. And what is more important? Action. Actions. I'm sorry, I'm going to bring it political. And so, you may not like what Trump said about locker room talk, the locker room talk and all that. But right now, it's this talk, regardless of these women that are coming out of the woodwork after 30, 40 years. Okay? They're words. Okay? What Hillary Clinton has done is criminal. Are actions. Actions. What Bill Clinton has done are actions. We saw it. We know it's on tape. You don't beat the narcissist with words. You beat them with action. What is your action going to be, Grace? Because you're not going to convince her of anything.
What it is, but it's just not feeling right to me,
All right.
Yeah, so I'm just putting that out there. I have to kind of feel through that myself. It's not my insecurity. Okay. It never would have been an issue at all had it not been said. Things would have just, but it's because it's been said to me a few times by various women. It's like, obviously maybe you see something in me that you feel you need to take down a notch or something. I don't know, because
I know it has nothing to do with that. There's nothing to take down as far as big boobs or small boobs. They're just boobs.
Well, or legs or whatever body part we're talking about. But of all the things too to have come up in conversation, it's very personal.
You're explaining yourself to a woman who's a pothead, which I don't care, obviously, who, as your friend, took money from you that you didn't take from her, that somebody else did. Another person's actions you had to take responsibility for. This is something she said directly to you, and she'll have no responsibility of taking any actions for something that directly happened between the two of you. What are you talking to her about? What do you think you're going to convince this person of? This is a grown-ass woman pushing her golden years, and she needs this explained to her about basic, decent human interaction? What are you doing, Grace? You're fighting with words when you've already fought and won with actions. It's easier to go no contact than this. Well, in reality, it isn't. 'Cause I know what you're thinking again. The craziness, another one. You can't worry about it, Grace. Because as long as you're no contact, you're telling everybody. Okay? You're telling everybody. I'm me. I know what I believe. I stand by my convictions. And I don't even need to try to argue my way out of this with you. That's how inconsequential you are to me. And that's how big of a red flag you all have raised in front of my face. I don't need to argue with you. That's why it's so powerful. That's why they think we're out partying and why they talk bad about us when we're no contact and gaslight and try to build even more and more flying monkeys because we're winning. Because your actions spoke louder than your words. We've been saying words our whole lives to them. Words are meaningless. Only action matters, Grace.
It's private.
Yeah.
It has other connotations. It's not like, well, even I guess if someone said your feet are huge or your feet are crooked or it could
Or
be anything.
tiny.
It could be anything.
He's got tiny feet.
But it's just,
So what?
well, this is it. So why would we even talk about? Why would it even come up?
Because something was said about something you were wearing.
I don't
And it
know.
had to have been you, not me.
Yeah, I don't know what it was I was wearing or what I wasn't wearing. I'm just trying to feel my way through it.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah. So, was it an emergency with Margie?
oh, well, no. She couldn't get the Roku working. I gave her 4 more things to watch, and the damn thing, I don't know if you have this problem, but sometimes it doesn't play what I put on it, and it should, because all the other ones play.
Mm-hmm.
And it said something about a filter. Well, I've had that happen, and I was just thinking about it a little while ago. Maybe she needs to unplug the modem.
You notice when you asked her if it was an emergency, again, no. She knows what she did. Just listen to her voice inflections. You had it right. You suspected it. They're right there. Doesn't necessarily have to be the sing-song voice. Their voice inflections tell us everything.
Her unplug the Roku, but maybe she has to unplug the modem too.
Mm-hmm. I don't know anything about Roku. I've never had one.
I thought you had one.
No, I have cable.
Well, cable doesn't give you Netflix, does it?
No,
Unless you got a special TV.
no. I have
Yeah.
Netflix through a PlayStation that gets wired in.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's how I do it.
Well, anyway, I couldn't help her, and now that I think about it, it might have been because I know I had the same problem many times, and I fooled with the filter, and I fooled with this and that, and I could never get it. But it seems to me all I ended up having to do was unplug the modem.
Yeah.
So I'll have to tell her that when she's going to bring it back here tomorrow, and if it's the MLC or whatever it is that I download everything with,
Yeah.
then it's just the modem. So, did you go for your walk?
No. Mm-mm. Angelo came in. I had to take care of his stuff for him.
She's trying to change the subject.
Dinner and all
Trying
that.
to get
And
you
got
off
like
subject.
lots of dishes to do, and that was that. Yeah.
Bummer.
Anyway, I'm gonna get ready and go to bed here shortly. So, I just wanted to pass that by you. I got to think about it. It's been on my mind, and then, you cut me off real quick to get with Margie, and not that I'm jealous of Margie, but it was like, boom. I thought, well, was there an emergency? Or, I'm starting to see things very differently from my perspective, where a lot of things that I would normally take a back seat to. I'm just not willing to do that anymore. And it's not that I'm trying to be number one on anyone's list, but it's like we're in the middle of a conversation. Oh, that's Margie, and you got to go. Oh, okay, well, it's just kind of, to me, it's, if it wasn't like your 6-year-old kid is at the neighbor's house and you got to see what happened, it's like, really? It's kind of rude. It's just, to me, it was rude. It's like, I'm over here juggling the phone, trying to cook his dinner and talk to you, and then all of a sudden I got cut off anyway. And these are things for me that are very difficult to do, and setting boundaries and saying that's okay and that's not okay. So, it's like, I'm not worried about playing second fiddle to Margie. That's not the point. The point is, I've gotten cut off too many times in my life to sit back and say, yeah, it's okay, hang up on me and call me back when you take care of what other non-essential thing, because I must be second on the list of non-essentials. That's the way it feels. And to be told I'm oversensitive is something I've heard my whole life, which has caused me, you're too sensitive, or, well, I didn't mean it, or you shouldn't take it that way. Well, I don't know. If I all of a sudden said, hey, I got to go, and just hung up and, talk to someone
else. That happens to me all the time.
Well,
and then they call me, I'll call you right back, and I did, but
well, yeah.
You didn't get the message.
No, I didn't, because I got busy doing what I was doing in the middle anyway.
I
don't know. It's kind of
like, it happens all the time to me.
Well,
it doesn't bother me, but evidently it bothers you.
Yeah, I guess it does.
Okay.
I guess it does. Yeah. I've been put on the back burner by everybody that I shouldn't have been put on the back burner by. And I don't do that. I don't cut people off mid-sentence. I cut off a relationship with you years ago, and what that was, and I'm not carrying a grudge about it, but the memories are there, and that whole thing with Brad and the $100 for the weed that you gave him, and then he took off with it, and I paid it back, which to me was a gracious thing to do, but looking back at it now, I shouldn't have. That was between you and him. It had nothing to do with me. I mean, that was a deal between the two of you. But, I ended up paying it back, and you took it, and that was okay. And not that I want any money or anything, but I look at myself and how so easy I give myself away every time. With money, time, energy, everything. So, I start adding it up, and I go, well, I don't know. I don't know anymore. It must be something I'm putting out in the air that tells people it's okay to say whatever you want. Hang up, come, go whenever you please, and you can pay the way too. And it just, I have to stop what I'm doing that causes this stuff.
Okay.
All right.
She has no argument? Like, you should have paid me back because he was with you. You hooked me. She didn't even give you that? So she knew it was wrong from the get? Doesn't even apologize. Said, yeah, you know what? That was wrong. This woman's just a user, Grace.
So anyway. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to get going. That's what's been on my mind in the last, day, and thinking about things. And it's, I don't know, maybe this will go forward, maybe it won't. Maybe I got some things to learn. Maybe I'm completely wrong. I have no idea, but it's just like it's come up for me, and there it is. And dealing with anything that feels conflictual is extremely difficult for me. So I thought I would just say what was on my mind. But I,
okay. That's fair.
And yeah, that's fair, and that's where it's at. But there are repetition patterns that I'm seeing that I have to deal with. So.
Okay, I can see how you see it as a red flag, and yet I don't. For me.
Yeah.
These same things happen, and I don't see them that way. So, doesn't mean that you shouldn't see what you see, that you have a different experience, life experience than I. Very different.
Well, yeah.
So, I can see where you're coming from.
I appreciate that. Well,
And I hope it won't be a problem for us. We just reconnected, and I'll be more careful. I just,
well, I
I
don't want
take
you
so
to
little
feel.
to heart.
Yeah, I don't want you to feel like you have to walk on eggshells with me, but I don't.
The only reason why she's kind of backing off, she hasn't apologized, though. She's like, I'm sorry if I made you feel that way. That wasn't my intention. It really wasn't. She's saying, well, I could see how you feel that way, and all right, we have different experiences. No apology for making you feel bad, though. So why would she do that, Grace? Because she doesn't want to lose you as a friend? Because your friendship means so much to her? Or does what you can do for her mean a lot to her? Because as soon as she gets what she wants, she'll drop you like a hot potato and move on to whoever else is going to do it for them, won't she? Delivering her groceries and her oxygen and whatnot. But no apology. I'm imagining this is at the end. I can't see the... For some reason, all my clock counters stopped working on all my players, so it must be a hard... Onwards.
Think that these kinds of things are that unique to me. I don't think anybody likes their body parts talked about. I don't think anybody likes paying anyone else's debts. And I don't think anyone likes getting cut off. I don't think there's anyone, I don't take it personal, not in that regard. I'm just looking at the pattern of human interaction and how I'm playing into this. And for me, that kind of stuff has got to stop. And the only way it's going to stop is for me to notice it and speak up.
Yeah,
And sometimes
absolutely.
it's worth speaking up, and other times it's why bother speaking up, depending on who it is. But I don't think that the way I'm feeling about these incidences is that rare or unique. Not at all.
Okay.
So, but for the meantime, this is, for me, has been a difficult discussion, and
Me too.
yeah, so we'll just kind of let things settle and see where it goes from here. But for right now, I don't know. I'm going to do what I need to do around here and go to bed by 10 o'clock, and that's that. And
Okay.
it's not that I'm brokenhearted or angry, but it's just I'm seeing patterns and red flags, and it's like things are getting this repetition compulsion, and it's got to stop. For me, it's got to stop. Got to stop.
Well, I'll know what you want to do if I hear from you.
All right. Well, you go ahead and get it.
If I hear from you, that's a friendship. Like, hey, wait. Let's fix this. Hold on. Because I don't want to lose a friendship over this. We've already had problems. Let's work this out. She's telling you, Grace, what she thinks of you. She's telling you. No apology. No, hey, wait a minute. Our friendship is too valuable to me than to have you walk off over something, me making a silly comment about your tits and about, I can't even remember what the, it's like flew out of my mind. Whatever the other comment was. She's willing to let you walk out anyway over that. She's not your friend. It's what you can do for her. And maybe she sees the gravy train ending.
Good night's rest.
Oh, I didn't get my nap, so I certainly will.
Okay.
You too.
All right.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, I guess that's the end. Well, honestly, that phone call went about as well as it's going to go without the fighting and all. And I'm glad you sent it to me. At least I could point out to you the underlying language and what she was saying. No apology. No, wait a minute, Grace. You're a friend. We've been friends, and we can not over this. Eh. Actions, not words, Grace. Actions, not words. And you stand up for yourself very well here, and it's very rare people can do that, but you still have difficulty, as everybody does, seeing the underlying language that's being thrown at you. Okay? Actions is what they understand. Words is what they feed on. So, thank you again for your contribution, Grace. You've been wonderful. And thank you for the audio and the story. I am sorry. Once again, I had to break up your video into 2 videos. It is what it is. I don't even know how, to be honest with you, I don't even know how long this video is, because for some reason all my counters on all my players and recorders, just it's a hard drive issue. So, you know, when they attacked, it wasn't only mine, they did this countrywide. They attacked these DVRs with DDoS attacks to take down Twitter, Facebook. It was out a week and a half ago. And really what it was I got bullied. The funny thing is, I got caught up in people trying to help WikiLeaks because they were pissed off that the Ecuadorians shut off their internet, so they crashed all the social medias that day. But whatever they did it, there's some coding in there that did some funky shit to some people's computers as well who were networked. And like my laptop's networked to my DVR, to the PlayStation, to my phone, Charlene's laptop, and a tablet. So, you know, it's just annoying. So I apologize. And that's actually why I haven't been able to really post videos. I haven't had the upload speeds to do it. But now I've been talking about replacing this thing anyway. So, Grace. Actions, not words. And thank you again. Thank you for the story. Thank you to everybody watching. Please leave any opinions or advice in the comment section below. And if this is the first video you're watching of this, make sure you get part 1 at the beginning. Technical problems again. And watch that so you can catch up. And again, if you have any advice, please leave them in the comment section below. And again, if you want your story read on the channel, if you have a topic you'd like me to cover or a narcissist you'd like to expose, you know what to do with the PayPal and my email links in the description box. And remember, when you do send me your story, please include at the top, oh gosh, it's a long one. Please include at the top whether it's with or without contribution and what name you'd like to go by. This is Ollie Matthews. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all again soon. Sorry again, everyone. Bye.